Hey guys, welcome back to Vinceville Custom. So today I'm sort of doing an update on upgrades for the house, the business, the studio, the garage, stuff like that. Just to give you guys an idea of what I've been doing over this past summer of 2020. With the whole lockdown and the COOF pandemic, it's been a nightmare. I'm only really getting into everything that's been going on, but I just decided that life's too short. The money I've been putting aside for all these items that I do work in progress videos for, and then I sell those on eBay, I kind of like, pool that money together and decided this is the year I got to really do some upgrades and make my life easier. So I'll kind of give you guys some ideas of what I've done. This will help you guys maybe if you're building a studio, or maybe it'll give you some ideas if you want to do filming or tools here and there, whatever. I'll kind of just give you some, everything that I did, what I had to get done. So one of the main things was I did an electrical box this year. My house had a really small old electrical box, so I did a new one, and I ran better wires into my garage. We'll get to that later in the video. But for right now, what I did is I did better lighting in my studio. So these are LED strips of, LED strips. Basically, there's no baseless in them. It's just hardwired LED strips, and they work out pretty well. Now, I would have loved to have done recessed lighting, but my problem is this studio is a breezeway to the house, to the garage. So this was like an add-on after the house was built a long time ago. So everything is sort of kind of off. It's not completely even, especially the roof, because it's a flat roof. There's no like attic above this. It's purely flat, so I can't really add anything into it. But this works out better. What I used to have was, when I first purchased the house, I put a strip here, and I had these spotlights in that strip. So I had all these spotlights going in this direction and this direction. So this way, when I was working at this desk, I had lights coming here, and then when I was airbrushing, I had lights going into the booth. But the problem was these bulbs would go out a lot, even though I started with the curly bulbs, and then I started putting the LEDs in them. But sometimes I would hit these things, and other times they would go out and I wouldn't notice for like a week or two. I just didn't pay attention much. So I decided, time to go. So I put these LEDs up. Now, when I got these LEDs, they come with 4 strip bulbs, and they're all cool white. So this one right here and this one right here is cool white. So what I did is I went over to Home Depot and I got warmer version. So this is like a warm red bulb, same thing. So if you want to balance your lights in your studio, whether you're doing LEDs or fluorescents or the curly ones, put your warm and cool, and do that throughout all your lighting, and that'll help out with your coloring. Because before I added these warms in here, when I put all the cool white ones in, the room was very bluish tint. So now that bluish tint is kind of out of here. So that works out really well. Yeah, they're really easy to put up. There's no baseless in them. They're like, I think they're 16-watt bulbs. So it's even less energy than the other ones I had. Because I think the circle ones I had, the spotlights were like 40 watts or 30 watts. So it's still cheaper and stuff. Basically, it's like an LED strip in a tube. That's pretty much what it is. Now, I didn't want to get the ones that diffuse the light. I wanted like just the lights to come out. I just wanted better lighting in here. So that's kind of what we did for that. So now what I'll do is I'll go set up in front of the desk, and I'll give you guys an idea what I did for better camera work. Okay, so I've been thinking a lot about better camera work and better camera angles, especially with these statues. Because sometimes these statues get larger and bigger than, anything, and I can't really, get the tripod and the camera where I'm like, at good angles. And plus, I always thought about maybe doing something on the ceiling or something where the camera's above me and I could kind of bend it and move it around. Now, I looked everywhere. There's a lot of stuff out there, but it's more or less for like you mount it to your ceiling or you mount it to your desk and it locks in place. You can't really bend it in real time. Because what I did is I ordered this one thing where it was like 3 long arms and it was like huge and you could put it in all kinds of directions. But the problem is wherever you put it, you have to lock your joints. And you can't really bend it again unless you want to unlock the joints, move the camera around and stuff. And if you're not careful, the thing wobbles all over the place. I ordered it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the idea of like, okay, I can put it over my head, but it's just locked there forever. So I said, okay, I'm sending that back to Amazon. So I did a little bit more research. Now, there's a lot of mounts out there for like, monitors or TVs. But they're not really made for cameras. They're made for like heavy items. So I did a lot of research and I went to B&H Photo and I saw something where it's kind of like a bendable arm that's like this, but it was a little too small for what I wanted. and it was a little expensive. So I was like, oh, but that's exactly what I'm kind of looking for. So I did a little more research, and I came across this one website. I forget the name of this thing. I'll link it in the description, and it was exactly what I was looking for. A little expensive, you know, I think it was like over 200 bucks, but it was over $200, but I was sitting there online looking at it, and a window popped open, and they said, can I help you with anything, like a chat? I said, I really like this item, but do you have any discounts? And they gave me like a 10% discount, and this is exactly what I was looking for. It's basically a mount for a monitor, but they sort of like added on stuff for like a camcorder. So as you can see, it's a bendable arm. It kind of goes in different directions. It slides down because I got the longer adapter. There's only one like 16 inches, but I got the one that was like 30 inches. And as you can see, it bends all over the place. And then they added this piece on here, which is just a simple add-on. You can move your camera around. You know, you can unlock it over here, and you can bend the camera in this direction. Now this is my old camcorder, so I just put this on to show you guys what it looks like. So you can kind of just, you know, turn this stuff around. So you're going to probably notice now a lot of my camera work should be a little bit better when I'm working on something, because I can actually sit down right here, and I'm sitting here working, and I have the camera pointing down to what I'm working on, so you'll be able to see better what's going on. And now if I do a live stream and say, okay, I'm working on an item, but I need to move it, so I can actually take the arm and I can bend it down this way to get a little bit closer, or if it's bigger I could go this way, or say I'm working over here, I need to get the camera down on this angle. You know, I could go in all these different angles. So this thing is absolutely amazing. All I had to do was sort of tweak the spring in here. Now, this is a spring in here, whereas some of the other ones I'm looking at, it was like a gas-powered spring. And the problem is when you go down, it swoops back up. It doesn't really stay down unless you have a heavy monitor. I don't have little camcorders on them, so that's kind of what I came up with. But so far, this is amazing. You're going to see better camera angles. Plus, now I don't have a tripod next to my table or my feet, and I'm not kicking anymore. Plus, this thing is really sturdy. So unless I'm really banging the table, it doesn't really move. And this worked out pretty well. Now, it does come with a mount for the side of the desk. You know, like down here, it comes like, you know, you can mount it on your side. But the problem was, I was hitting this with my elbow, and over there it was in my way. So what I did is I pretty much cut off a piece at the bottom. It was a little bit of rigging. I drilled a hole through here, and I bolted this underneath the table. And now this piece is in here. Now this is really sturdy, but if you were to sit here and rip this off, yes, you'll rip it out of your desk. But as long as you hold this bar and you kind of just, you know, play with this, you know, you just kind of go to, if you need to go up or down, and like that, it works out pretty well. So that's kind of my upgrade for the desk for camera work. Fairly expensive, but it's just something that's out of my way now, and I don't have to worry about, you know, the tripod, and we'll get better camera angles. So that's that upgrade. Like I said, I'll link in the description. Fairly expensive, but we'll go from there. I did a few other upgrades to the desk with the computer. Basically, you know, I just got a sound bar, and I added some little USB ports over there because the USB thing that I had on this circle thing over here was shot. It was defective. I went through 2 of them, so I just did that. So that's pretty much my little setup over there, so we'll see how that goes. So let me get over here to the Airbrush booth, and I'll show you what I did with that stuff. Okay, so just as I finished up the Airbrush booth and everything was pretty much cleaned up, I was ready to start working on lighting, and then we had the lockdown for the pandemic. So when things were, you know, when you were allowed to go to Home Depot, you could only go 50 at a time. You had to wait in line. I went over a couple times, couldn't find any lighting I wanted. So I decided once Amazon was like kicking back up and they were starting to ship stuff again, I decided to try some LED lights on the sides of the booth. One, I tried desk lamps where you clip them on here and you can bend them in different directions. They were a horrible lighting option. They didn't work out right at all. I sent those back. Then I tried 2-foot LED bulbs like you have on the ceiling now, one there and one there. Those were way too bright on the item, and they were so blue tint to them, I scrapped them. You'll see in the garage where I put one of them in the priming booth just because priming, but it didn't work out too well, and that's when I decided, you know what, I got to do better ceiling lights, and that's what will give me better lighting, and now I got a very bright booth in here. So if this booth ever gets dirty with paints, I can always just get house paint again and with a roller and just whiten it up again, and things would work out. The next step is, if anybody has any options, or maybe if you're into photography, or you know, maybe you're into live streaming and you know something that would work, I'm looking for a cheaper option for the booth, like I did with the desk with that arm for the camera work. So this is my old camcorder. And what I want to do is I want to set this up where I have an arm over here and I can bend this up and down so I can show you what I'm airbrushing, you know, without it being in the way. So I got to kind of come up with something over here for this item. You know, I got to figure out something that can go here. I tried getting one of those like cheap, what was it? It was a webcam mount. That's what it was. One of those spring webcam mounts, like, you know, you use for lighting on your desk. The problem was this was too heavy for it. It was kind of just like falling it down, and I couldn't get it around the area. Now there is some other lighting options, sort of like the bar over there, but it's things you'd have to lock. So I'm thinking about getting one of those, because this way I could just sort of lock it in place and let it sit, and then I could just turn it around and just do whatever. Because when you airbrush, I won't need to go up and down, up and down. I can kind of just lock it in place. So if anyone's got any options, link them. Hopefully I could come up with a better idea. Over here, this is kind of funny. If you guys ever have issues like I do, I have a habit of knocking this thing over. Like if this was on my airbrush booth in the past, it was on my table here like that. So when it was like that, I would have my airbrush in here, you know, sitting, and I wouldn't pay attention, and I would actually grab my hose with my foot, and this would come over the edge and I would break it. I think I went through 20 of them already since I bought this house 8 years ago. So basically, I decided, get a piece of wood, get another piece of wood up top, notch that out like a cup, lock this in place, L bracket to the desk, you know, to this piece. Now I won't have to knock that over. So that's something a little bit stupid, but it makes life a lot easier. We're not knocking that thing over every day. So that's what I wanted to do. So this airbrush booth will probably have some weird add-ons over time. And one of the last things I did was I got a new airbrush. Now I needed something that can actually spray larger statues, because these things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and my smaller airbrushes take forever to paint it. So I contacted Iowa and I asked them, you know, what was a good option, and they said HPTH was a really nice brush to do what I'm doing, and I picked this up. It's really nice. I'm not going to go with a crazy review on it, but it sprays a nice fan. It goes on even. It's easy to clean. This piece comes off like so, and it works out pretty well. So you can just—it's like a trigger, and I like having these little gauges on the front of them. And this is what I picked up. So it was fairly expensive, but I think I got it at Labor Day sales. So I think I got it for like 30 or 40% off, something like that, I forget. But it worked out pretty well. So if you're looking for a nice good fan airbrush that sprays really thick to get over large areas, check out the HPTH. It's a really nice brush. But if, like I said, you really want to do more research, check on YouTube. There's other people out there who did some really in-depth reviews. It's pretty good. So that's sort of the upgrades for the studio, but let's get into the garage. I'll show you all that stuff, and then we'll close out the video. So I'm in the garage, and I'll break down how I kind of worked in the winter in the past and how things should actually work out better now. So excuse the mess in the garage. It's the fall. Leaves are coming down. They're blowing in. Once the leaves are all down and I can clean out the property, I can also clean out the garage and finish everything up. But for the past couple years, you know, whenever I worked in the winter time, I would have to use these heaters. Now, that blower heater always trips my plugs in the garage. It doesn't matter which plug I put it in, that trips it. It just, the thing is a nightmare. But it doesn't trip anything in the studio. So I use that for whenever I want to heat up, you know, molds, if I'm going to do some molding and casting with resin, or if I want to get the chill out of the studio in the morning, because sometimes it's a little bit chilly and the baseboard heat doesn't really heat up the studio that much. But these two, you know, radiant heaters I have are the only thing that worked in the garage. I have 2 lines in the garage with 2 circuit breakers, and these things work out really well in the morning, but as the day goes on, it always trips the circuit breaker. So I guess as it starts warming up, it trips them. So it's always been a pain to work in the winter time in my garage, because I just didn't really have a good heating system. I've always wanted to do something where I would run a wire and a heater in here, but the problem is there was always more important stuff to do around the house besides this. But now things are kind of getting better. I found 2 electricians at the beginning of the year. They flaked out on me. I got another electrician this past couple months, and he said that basically it's better to like kind of redo your whole circuit panel in the house and run wires from that into the garage, and you could do something better. So I did all my research, I said I got to get rid of this heating system as it is. So this is what I put up in the garage now. This is called the Hot One. This thing is an absolute beast. I absolutely love it, and so far it's amazing. Now, there's two versions of this. If you guys are looking for any kind of heater in your garage, or you want to put something in your garage, check out these things. They're absolutely amazing. Did all my research. I looked online. I did all the feedback, and I just did some pricing, and this is exactly what I was looking for. Now, there's two versions of this. There's the one that's a 20 amp version, and there's a 30 amp version. I got the 30 amp because I figured if I'm going to go through all this trouble of putting a new circuit panel in the house and running a wire all the way to the garage, I might as well just do the 30 amp one, because if I ever want to put a Fujitsu unit in my garage where it's an AC unit and a heater and get rid of this, I'll have the 30 amp wire already ran to the garage. I don't have to worry about doing all that other stuff. So I went with this one. Now, this unit was $300 on Home Depot. No, I'm sorry, at Walmart. Home Depot, it's like $340, but Walmart, it was cheaper, so I just ordered from Walmart, free delivery. Now, the 20 amp version is like $280 or $270. So I figured, what the hell, for $30 more, I'll get the better version, and it'll work out better. So, if you guys are looking for a heater, this thing is absolutely amazing. You can actually mount this up on your ceiling like I did here with the rafter, or you can mount it on your wall, or you can even have it on the floor. It doesn't really matter where you do it, because the plug we put the plug over here. So it's really not that loud. I mean, it's a blower. It's not that loud though, so it's not like, you know, I can't hear my music or anything else in the studio if I'm working. It's already getting hot. It's got high, it's got low, it's got an auto, and it's got a reset. So I think there's a way where in the book, I'll have to read it again, where you can set it up to a point where you want it and keep it at auto. And it's kind of like a thermostat, but it's not really. So it works out pretty well. Now, the reason why I wanted one with a plug is because I didn't want to have something that I was locked into the house where it's hardwired. I mean, if it was really like a cold state where it's always cold all year long and stuff, then yeah, I would say, okay, I want to hardwire something. But I wanted something that was pluggable, because, like, say if I want to move it down line, okay, say I don't like it here, I want to put it over there. Or in the summertime, I think I might not want to have it up here collecting dust, so I can actually unscrew these areas, pull this off. I could wrap it up for the summertime and keep it, you know, on the floor underneath my workbench over there, and then in the wintertime, I can come and put it back up. Or I can wrap it up here. So I just wanted something that was removable. I didn't want something that, like I said, was hardwired and locked into a wall somewhere. If I ever put an AC unit over here with the, the heater, that's something different where I'm like, okay, that's going to be there forever. But I really like this idea that this is going to blow in the direction of where I work all the time. Now, I figured while I did this, I might as well over here, I put another wire, which is a second wire to my box in the house. And this is a generator wire. So now I can get a generator. I can plug it up in here, because whenever we have these crazy hurricanes here on the Jersey Shore, I don't have power out for like in a half hour. I have power out for like 3 days. It's just the way it's always been. So I figured, okay, it's time to get a generator. I can go in the garage. I could go in the house on my circuit breaker. I could click which circuits I want with this, generator. So I can actually still be working on like statues and stuff when the power's out, and I won't lose all my stuff in the refrigerator. So these are some good upgrades I did. But definitely, if you guys are looking for any kind of a heater, check this one out. It's called the Hot One. It's definitely worth it. I'm in love with it so far. I think it's going to be really great to actually get stuff done. So the other upgrades I did, which are mostly lighting, so you can see this kind of blows over to here. So this is my work area. This is kind of where I spend a lot of time when I'm in the garage. So now when I'm working, so if I'm sitting here in front of the the bucket with the shop vac on, I got the heat blowing on me here, so this way I'll be nice and warm. Now whenever I prime up a statue, I got the heat blowing in this direction. So this way I won't get like, if you spray primer in cold weather, what happens is your primer bleeds. It doesn't dry correctly. It just kind of gets wet and bleeds. So this way the heat's blowing in here. So one of the things I did this year with lighting is on Amazon, I picked up these 2-foot LED bulbs. Now, I did put these in my airbrush booth in the studio, but the problem is I didn't like the color out coming off of these things because I put them on like one here and one there, and what happened is the lighting on the statue just completely threw off the colors, so I ripped them out, and I didn't want to get rid of these, so I figured I'll hook it up here. So now I got at least a little light source in here when I prime stuff, so this one will be a backup in case this one ever fries or something. I got a backup now, and I got some lighting in here, so that worked out pretty well. And the last thing I did in the garage, which if you guys have any of these fluorescent bulbs or these fixtures, now these are old fixtures. These are like those fluorescent fixtures that come with the basilisks in it. I think that's how you say it. Those fluorescent bulbs, one bulb in the, I have, as you can see, I got one there, I got two here, and then I got one over there, right? Those bulbs, every 3 weeks, one bulb would burn out. Or if I accidentally hit it because I was working on something in the garage, it would screw it up and they would go out. So I was replacing these bulbs all the time. They get hot, they suck up a lot of energy. And I said, you know what, I really want to replace these fixtures, but I went online, I looked, and they said you don't need to replace the fixture, just get the LED bulbs that go into these fixtures. So I looked at them, I ordered a box of 25 because I thought I was gonna, okay, they're gonna go out on me. I've had these things, these LED bulbs in these fixtures now for 7 months, and I haven't had one burn out at all. They are cool to the touch all year long, and I noticed that the electric bill isn't as bad as it used to be. So if you guys have these fixtures, but you don't want to pull them down, get the LED bulbs on them. Basically, if you look at them close enough, it's an LED strip inside the bulb itself. So that's pretty much what they are. So that is my upgrades for the garage. Nothing super crazy, but at least now I won't have to worry about, okay, I got to do garage work on Thursday, so I got to get everything prepped up for the one day in the garage. I'm going to sit in there and do stuff all day long and then be in the studio for the rest of the week in the wintertime. Now, I could come in the garage and say, all right, I want to be 3 hours in the garage, kick on the heater, do what I need to do, 3 hours, boom, I'm back, I'm in the studio. So things are a lot better. So if you guys are looking for a heater, check out the Hot One. They are absolutely amazing. I'm probably the best purchase I've ever done for the garage, and it should work out. Just remember that there's a 30 amp and a 20 amp one, so you got to make sure you have those wires for it. If you're an electrician and you know what you're doing, go ahead and do, wire one up, or if you don't know anybody, wire one up for you, but it's definitely a great purchase. So let's go over the rest of the upgrades and we'll finish out the video. Okay, so I figured it was time to close out the video, and I'll give you guys a better angle on the camera. So just like if I'm working on an item like this, Jesse from Pokemon, you can pretty much see how I'll be handling it. So if I'm working on it straight down, you'll be able to see there. But if I position this camera over my head, it's like a GoPro and you'll get a better angle. So it just gives you guys an idea. I'm trying to, come up with better stuff as I go. Other than that, let me know what you guys think of my upgrades. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Does it give you guys any ideas for your stuff? Like if you're looking for a heater for your garage or just a setup in general. Other than that, I'm pretty much good for 2020, but I'm still debating on Black Friday sales coming up at the end of the month. If I could find a good deal on a Silent Air 30 compressor, I think I might pick one of those up because my 20A is going on, what, like 14, 15 years old now. It's time to get rid of that. So if I can find a deal on that one, I'm going to pick that up. If you guys don't know, Apple iTunes cards, if you're a Mac user like me, on eBay on Black Fridays, usually you could get like a $100 gift card for 75 bucks. I'm going to probably pick up 3 of them, and then I'll probably pick up the, the Final Cut Pro or Final Cut program for Apple, or is it Premiere Pro? I forget which one it is, but hopefully I can pick up that and do better video editing. So hopefully my video edits will look a little bit better. I could practice and get better on that stuff, so we'll see how things go. And if all goes well next year for 2021, I think I might get a better camcorder. Even though the one I got now is really good and I'm enjoying it, I think I might need a better one next year, but what we'll have to do is some more projects like Jesse, get those video series up, and then whatever funding I get from those, maybe a better camcorder. So we'll work on that next year, but for right now, I think I'm pretty good. So let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments down below, and we'll be back with some more videos.